I now want to introduce our next speaker. Her name's Kasey Luck, as I mentioned, and this is somebody who has dedicated their career to one thing, and that is helping e-commerce businesses become successful with email marketing. I can tell you that Kasey knows what she's doing because in her first month working for us, she helped us make an extra $40,000 or $50,000. I can't remember. I wish I would have found it. It was either $40,000 or $50,000 in her very first month. Okay. And I'm not going to tell you what she charged us, but the ROI was pretty freaking amazing. Okay. For $40,000 to $50,000 in extra revenue in month one. So when she speaks, I listen, and I am just so excited that she is here today to share exactly what you guys need to do to take advantage of email marketing in your business. Kasey, you ready to go?
Yep. Thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you so much for being here and being here early. Give me a thumbs up if you can hear me well. Everything's fine. Awesome. Thank you so much, Jared, for introducing me. Great to be here. I'm just going to jump right into it. And I'm going to add a few more words about myself as we go through this. Let me share. Excellent. I joined a few minutes early, and it was so fantastic, actually, for me as well to hear some of what Jared was sharing. And one of the biggest takeaways that I got from the few moments that I joined is that all of this information that I'm sure all of the presenters prepared for you guys here today is actionable. And the more action you take right away after this, the more beneficial it's going to be for you. And this was definitely my intention behind preparing this presentation. I really wanted to not only kind of tell you general things about email and give you like 5 best tips to do X or Y, but I wanted to put in very tactical things that you can take and implement after this presentation and have a massive impact on your business. And Jared mentioned that when we were working with Organics in the first month, and Jared, it was $50,000 that we added to your guys' revenue in the first 30 days. But when we started working with Organics, they were already at a level that was not a beginner level for e-commerce. And I was told that many of you here today are in the early stages of your business. So this presentation and the tips and the framework that I share is going to be helpful no matter where you are in the business. But I definitely kept in mind people who are starting out. So the goal and the objective of this presentation is to show you guys how we help our partners and clients go from $0 to $17,000 in email revenue in 30 days. And show you how we do that, and also show you how you guys can do that in your business. So not to speak empty words, I wanted to show you guys some screenshots of actual Klaviyo dashboards and show you those results that we bring for some of our clients. And the $0 to $17,000 is not a figurative example, it's an actual example from a business. And for those of you guys who are not familiar with Klaviyo, Klaviyo is an email platform that helps e-commerce companies send email. They're fantastic. I would say action item number 1, if you are not using any email platform, join Klaviyo. If you're using another email platform, fantastic if it works for you, but Klaviyo is a fantastic option as well. So this particular brand was making $700 from email in the month of June. We started working with them in June, and then in July, they were already at over $17,000 in revenue. And in this presentation, I'm going to show you exactly the framework that we follow to get there. I also want to encourage everyone to stay until the end because I prepared some bonuses and presents. So there are 2 things. One is a PDF guide for the most overlooked email automation. So if you Google 5 email automations that I need to have as an e-commerce business, I guarantee you that None of the Google results will talk about this email automation, and we implement it for every e-commerce business that we work with, and it's fantastic at bringing in revenue. And then I will also send you this slide deck as a bonus for staying till the end. And as you can imagine, it's in my best interest to make sure that you guys want this slide deck by the time that we're done, or at least a few slides in. As promised, a few words about me. Jared already did an introduction, but my name is Kasey. Currently, I run Luck & Co agency. We're now an 8-person team. We only work with e-commerce, and we only help with owned marketing channels, and owned marketing channels are email, SMS, and loyalty programs. And really our major focus is email. So we're very focused, and that helps us become really, really good at what we do. We typically 2 or 3x our clients' email revenue in the first 30 days of working with them. And me personally, I've been doing email my whole career, worked for multiple companies, grew email lists, grew revenue through email. My writing on email marketing has been published in Huffington Post, Growth Hackers, and some more publications and educational platforms online. As a team at the Luck & Co agency, we generated over 20 million in email revenue for our partners last year. And as I mentioned, all of our partners sell physical products online. And as you can imagine, that made us try every strategy in the book. We've run more than 50 A/B tests. So we really learned a lot about email for e-commerce. And so what we did, we condensed all of those learnings and experience down to one framework that we now follow with every client that we work with. And it works every time. And the reason we're able to deliver these results every time is because there is a proven framework that we developed ourselves, and now we just follow with all of our partners, and it works. And that's what I'm going to share with you. There are more examples over here. If you're staying till the end, you'll get this deck anyway, so you'll be able to review at your own time. There's particular brand from February to March went from $50,000 in email revenue. This number indicates email revenue to 187,000. And one word that I'm gonna say about this and about growing your email revenue, all of the smartest partners that we have, when they see that their email as a channel starts bringing in massive revenue. Actually, before we go there, another important number to look at beyond just the dollar amount is the percentage over here. And if you're using Klaviyo, the dashboard is going to show you this. So this percentage indicates what percent of the total revenue is coming from email. And you want to grow this number. And what I was going to say is that all of our smartest partners, when they see that they can now rely on their email channel for a large percentage of their revenue, they start taking those that additional revenue they get from email and put it back into acquisition, put it back into driving more traffic to their site. And that traffic is taken care of with the email frameworks that we build, and that just fuels the machine further. And that's what helps our partners jump 2x in their total revenue month over month as they start working with us. There's another example I'm going to skip over and hope you're ready. So let's talk about the 2 secrets that make up this framework that I keep talking about to going from 0 to 5 figures in email revenue in 30 days. Secret number 1, how to make revenue from email on autopilot. And if you're anything like me, when you hear the word on autopilot in the context of marketing, you probably start thinking that you're about to hear another gimmicky thing. And I have the same feeling too. But the reason I have to use this word here is because 10 to 15% of your monthly online revenue should be automated. If you're not automating your revenue, you are missing out on an opportunity. You're not taking the full advantage of email as a channel and of your email marketing platform if you're paying for one. Before we jump into the actual framework, I want to make sure that when I use different terms, we're all on the same page so that nobody falls behind. So an important thing to know about email in general is that there are 2 kinds of email communication. The first type of email communication is automated or triggered emails. There's a trigger that usually triggers an event that happens on your site, which triggers a series of emails that are sent on autopilot when that trigger is triggered. So those are automated emails. And an alternative to that, or in addition to that, are one-time emails. And a lot of people refer to these as newsletters. With these ones, you created them, you sent them once, and you're done. You cannot do anything more with them. And because we're using Klaviyo as our platform, they have their own terms for these types of emails. And so we're just going to use their language. So when I say flows, I refer to automated emails. And when I say campaigns, I'm referring to one-time emails. So campaigns, one-time emails, flows, automated email sequences. And we're going to start with talking about flows. I believe, and I've seen that proven, that email flows are the foundation of your email marketing. And so whenever you start working at your email marketing, always start with flows, because everything that can be automated, just generally in your business, and this is something that I think Jared also touched upon, anything that can be automated should be automated in your business. And the same applies to emails. To give you an example of what an email flow is, I have an example of a very simple flow over here. Let's get all of this out of the way. So this is a very simple example of an email flow. As I mentioned, flows always start with a trigger, which is right here. In our example, this trigger is viewing a product. So whenever somebody views a product on your site, they get into the sequence, and the sequence starts sending emails to that person. Another component is a time delay. All of the components in an email flow are separated with time delays. And of course, the most exciting and fun part of an email flow is the actual email. And this is a very simple flow, so it only has one email, but you can have as many emails as you want in your flow. Now that you have that context of what a flow can look like, and what it should be, I want to touch upon the benefits of automated emails. I started talking about them, basically why you should have automated email flows. Flow emails are a lot more effective than campaigns, than those one-time emails that everybody usually thinks about when they think about email marketing. And the reason why flows are a lot more effective, they have higher open rate, they have higher click-through rate, they have a much higher conversion rate. And the reason why is because these emails are very timely and relevant. And they are that way because this is the customer or the user in a way requesting information from us. Because when they perform each of those events on your site, they're indicating that they need some more information on, for example, let's take a concrete example, right? Viewing a product. If somebody is viewing a product on your site, that means they're on your product page. So they went there voluntarily and they clicked through a couple different pages to get to your product page. And now they're considering purchasing this product. They're indicating to us that they're actively thinking about purchasing this concrete product. And so when the email about that event is automated and is sent to that person automatically with personalized information, with their name, with the product they're viewing, with the benefits of that product, of course, as you can imagine, that email is going to be incredibly effective. Another advantage of email flows is that once they're built, they require almost no maintenance and they run on their own, which also means that as you scale your company, as you start driving more traffic to your site, your revenue also scales with that, because those email flows that you built can now be sent to a lot more people on autopilot without you doing anything else. And of course, as you can imagine, all of that improves your customer retention. And I'm a big believer that retention is something that makes or breaks your company, because as you know, it's a lot cheaper to keep a customer than to acquire a new one. And so to give you a very concrete example of what flows do, we're going to look at dashboards again, but this time we actually see what kind of flows are contributing to this number. So this, let's put this away. This partner, when we came in and started working with them, they only had one single flow in their account. And we're going to get to the list of all of the flows that you guys need to have in just a moment. But you can guess a lot of them from here because there's a list right here. So this brand was only sending one flow, a welcome flow, and I believe it only had one email, which is the reason why they were only making $1,300 per month from this flow. And as you can see, it was only contributing 2% to their total revenue. In the first month that we started working with them, we improved that welcome flow. We improved that very first email. We added some more emails. It was now making $8,000. And then we also added a very important flow that all of you guys need to have, which is the abandoned checkout flow. And so now flows were making $20,000. And as you can see, we were in February over here. We're in March right now. And the flows were now generating 11% of this brand's total revenue. And then come April, the next month, we built out the rest of the flows that were relevant for this brand. And the flows were now making 28% of this brand revenue. And as you can see, this brand grew tremendously in those 3 months. And one of the reasons is because they could now rely on all of those flows to convert and retain the visitors that they bring to their site. They saw this. They started investing more money into traffic. That traffic was converting, going into their email. Part of it was going to their email list and then converting on email. So now that you've seen the impact of that, and if you're asking what flows do I actually need to have to make this happen, this is our list of 10 flows that every e-commerce business should have. I specifically double-checked this for CBD companies, so this list is very relevant for all of you guys. If 10 flows sound like a lot, and if they sound overwhelming, I highlighted 5 that you guys should start with. And I list the flows in the order of the customer journey. And so the first 5 in this list are aimed at converting somebody from being a subscriber into being a customer. And the last 5 flows are aimed at retaining that customer. So once they've become a customer, what should I do to activate them, to engage them in this moment of time when they're the most engaged, which is when they paid you money but didn't get their product yet. And you should pay a lot of attention to that time frame and communicate with your customers through email, and then how to keep them, how to cross-sell to them, how to get them to reorder, and so on. So if you only have resources or time for 5 flows, start with these 5 and then build the rest. To kind of orient you guys at the numbers and where you should be, I'm bringing up some benchmarks here. Klaviyo shows that somebody in the industry of wellness, health and wellness, is making, on average, is making 5 to 7% of their revenue from automated email. Our brands, our partners usually make from 9 to 15% of their revenue from flows. As you just saw, some of them make 28%. I would say that is an outlier. It's a very, very high percentage of revenue to automate, but it is possible. But you should aim at 10%. If you're at 10% of revenue coming from flows, you're doing well. The next goal would be to go to 15%. I recorded a YouTube video on how to actually create a flow in Klaviyo if you need that additional help. If you're staying till the end, you'll be able, I'll send you this presentation, so you'll be able to use this link, or otherwise just screenshot this slide and go to that video. It's a step-by-step, a very easy guide to create your flow from scratch in Klaviyo. This brings us to the key to secret number 1, which is you need to activate 5 to 10 email flows ASAP, because they will be converting and retaining your customers while you sleep. If you guys have any questions, just remember them. I know that we're going to do a Q&A at the end, so I'll be happy to answer any of the questions that you have. Meanwhile, we're getting to secret number 2, which is how do you go from 15% to 30% of your revenue coming from email? Because remember, our goal is to turn email into your top revenue driver, because when you can rely on email to drive your revenue, email revenue is a lot more profitable because you already own all of that audience. You don't need to pay for a conversion each time they shop, which is why we want to maximize email revenue. So how do you go from 15% that you're now making from flows to 30% of revenue coming from email, while of course building a strong brand and not getting into spam? Because I know that's a big question for a lot of people who start emailing their subscribers. So we're getting to the second type of email communication, campaigns. And remember how I said with flows, it's the customer or the user telling us when they need information. With campaigns, we are the ones deciding when to send, what to send, and who to send it to. And because we're deciding all of those things, those are the most pressing questions. What do we send? When do we send it? And who do we send it to? And we're going to cover all of those right now. What to send is really the easiest question, because producing, making, and selling CBD products, you guys have so much to talk about. And one thing that is specific to this industry is that there's a lot of education that can happen. And the more education your audience has about CBD, the more confident they'll be to shop, the more benefits they will probably experience from using your products. And as a result, the more they will buy and come back to you. So I actually have this as the last bullet point, but I'm starting with that. Send as much engagement content as you can, and engagement content is any type of educational content. You can always talk about product, or you can always feature a product. And when you're featuring a product, there's so many different things, again, that you can talk about. You can talk about the benefits of the product in one email. You can talk about the ingredients of a product in another email. You can talk about use cases of that same product in another email. And an important thing to remember here is that don't make your emails too long. And the more focused an email is, the better it's going to do, the better engagement it's going to have. So pick one topic, one focused, laser focused topic, and just talk about that and send an email about that. You can always find and group together some fun or funny or helpful reviews and send an email about that. Anything new that happens in your company, like you launching a new program, like a rewards program, you launching a new product, anything else that's exciting, is definitely worth an email update to your subscribers. A sale or discounts is a great reason to email your subscribers, but remember, what I find is that when a lot of people think about campaigns, they think that each time they email their subscribers, it should be some kind of deal. And that is definitely not the case. And I would actually encourage you to not do that unless you want to turn into a discount brand, because the more discounts you give, of course, the more discounts your people are going to expect. But sales and discounts do obviously help a lot with sales. So do sprinkle them into your email calendar. And then if you have a blog, even if you don't have a blog, but you have social media and you're short on topics that you can email your people, just take that latest update and turn it into email content. Make sure to link to that original content, and there you have it. Basically reuse as much content as you create as possible. Another important question is when to send. This is a screenshot from one of the calendars we prepared for one of the partners we help manage email. And as you can see, Tuesdays and Thursdays are our favorite days. And the reason is that engagement, meaning open rates, click rates, and conversion rates, are the highest on these 2 days, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Of course, as with anything, test and see what works for your audience. Weirdly, your audience might be the most engaged on the weekend. I don't know. You really need to send on all of the days and see how those emails perform. But in our experience, and a good rule of thumb is send on Tuesdays and Thursdays. Those are safe days. Wednesday is a good one as well. Monday comes next, and then Friday, Saturday, and Sunday are the worst days for the most part to send emails if you want to get high engagement. A frequency or cadence of 2 emails per week is very good to keep in touch with your people, to keep in touch with your subscribers, and not overdo it. If that's too much, start with once per week. Once per week is great. twice per week is also good. And of course, if there are holidays, if there are special sale events, then that is more than a reasonable excuse to email every day. That's going to happen for around Black Friday, Cyber Monday. That's going to happen about around Memorial Day or any other big discount day. And then finally, and what I think is the most important part of this is who should you send those campaigns to? And the important rule here is to not blast to everyone. That is the most frequent mistake that I see, is that people just take and send campaigns to everybody that they have in their email platform. What you're gonna see if you do that is very low engagement, low open rates, and low click-through rates. And when you consistently have low engagement, that negatively affects your deliverability, which basically means all of your further future communication is also going to experience decreased open rates and click rates, meaning you're gonna reach fewer and fewer people. So to avoid that, to avoid getting into spam, to avoid getting into the promotions folder on Gmail, make sure that you segment your audience. And segmenting simply means creating groups of subscribers in your platform and sending to those groups strategically. I have 5 kind of plug and play segments that I believe all e-commerce brands should have. So make sure to screenshot this slide or stay till the end, and I'll send this slide deck to you guys. These are the segments that every brand should have. The first one is based on engagement. And this is engaged 30 days, engaged 60 days, or engaged 90 days. Those are 3 different segments. And engagement is defined as opening or clicking or being active on your site. And these engaged segments will be your go-to segments when you send campaigns. So whenever, going back to this calendar over here, when you have this monthly calendar in front of your eyes, the main rule to remember here is that the more people open, the more they're interested, the more you should send to them. And then, of course, the opposite, the less they open, the less interested they are, the fewer emails you should send them. And so your engaged 30 days is the most engaged group. They should receive all of the emails on this screenshot. Your engaged 90 days is less engaged, and then your engaged 180 days is even less engaged group. This is a lot. If I have to boil it down to the most important points, send your sale emails, deal discount emails to wider groups, maybe even everyone on your list, or engaged 180 days. Send the rest to your engaged 60 days or engaged 90 days. That way you're reaching the optimal number of people to get your open and click and conversion rates up higher, and also not forgetting the less engaged people who still want to be on your list. They just don't want to hear from you twice per week. So that's the main principle here. You should also have a joined in the past 30 days segment, because now that you're sending based on engagement, some of the newer people who just joined your list might not be in this segment because they didn't have an opportunity yet to open or click anything. So just build a segment of people who joined your list in the past 30 days, add them to the send to segments when you create campaigns. The third one here is important because you'll actually want to exclude this segment when you send campaigns. This is a segment of people who purchased in the past 20 days, because the goal of each campaign, almost each campaign that you send, is to sell. You probably don't want to send those campaigns to people who just bought something from you. They're just going to get annoyed. So make sure that you have the segment. This can be 21 days, it can be 30 days, whatever makes sense for your brand. But make sure that you are excluding people who just bought from you when you're emailing those regular campaigns to your audience. And then this segment of unengaged people is also for excluding, and then building segments of people who purchase specific products. So segments based on purchasing activity will help you cross-sell effectively. So when you're thinking about complementary products, you'll want to know who purchased, let's say, an oil tincture, and you'll want to talk to them maybe about the benefits of topical products. And so you just take your purchasers, they will be much easier to convert than the rest of your audience who didn't purchase anything yet. And then you create an email about the benefits of supplementing the benefits of their oil tinctures with a topical or another product of your choice, and then you only send to those people. So that's how segmentation works when you use these principles. One of the kind of counterintuitive things is that when you segment, of course, the number of people who you actually send to is smaller, but because the engagement is higher, you're actually reaching more people. And you're going to see this once you start doing this, and this is very, very effective. And this is another thing that makes or breaks your success with campaigns specifically. Campaigns, not campaigns, segments and segmentation is a big topic. Even talking to you guys through this, I realized that this is a lot. So Klaviyo has fantastic resources on a lot of different topics, and specifically segmentation. So they have this resource. Again, just screenshot this, or even if you Google Klaviyo Guide to Creating Segments, you'll have a step-by-step guide to actually building all of these segments or similar segments. And once you do that, that's going to take you to a good place, and then you'll start sending your campaigns to segments as opposed to blasting to everybody. And this brings us to the key to secret number 2. Make sure that on top of the flows that are being sent automatically, you're also sending email campaigns once or twice per week, and mix promotional and educational content, and send based on engagement. In other words, don't just blast to everyone. Is this all helpful? I hope it's helpful. If it is, give me a yes in the chat or just a thumbs up in the video. Putting it all together, how do you go from $0 in email revenue to 5 figures? Step number 1, make sure you have an email marketing platform. I realized that I didn't put this on here, but I'm assuming all of you guys have one. If you don't, just go to Klaviyo. It's really the best email provider for an e-commerce company. Step number 2, and the secret number 1 from our presentation here, is create and activate 10 essential email flows. And then once you have that done, make sure that you send campaigns twice per week, and that both of those flows and campaigns are contributing to the revenue that you're making from email. What are the next steps? Where do you guys go from here? You have an option to do it all yourself. It's definitely all doable. When I was starting Luck & Co, I was doing all of this myself. So if you have a person who can write, copy, design emails, and put it all together in Klaviyo, one person can definitely do this in a month. Option number 2, or if you have a team with option number 1, even better, fantastic. Option number 2 is to hire an agency. And there's definitely a lot of benefit to having an experienced and a focused team that focuses on just one thing, do their thing, and help you guys get those results. And then for those of you who don't maybe have resources right now to hire an external agency, there's an option number 3, which is assisted DIY. And this is something really special that we prepared and that I'm so excited to introduce to you. Flowmaster is a product that we created for all of the companies that have been reaching out to us at the end of last year, towards the end of last year, that are smaller and who we can't help as an agency because they're not at a level yet where they will make the most, they would get the most value from us. We still wanted all of those smaller growing e-commerce companies to be able to automate their revenue with email and build all of those flows that I just talked you guys through. And so we compressed all of that knowledge that we have. And really our team has been building flows for e-commerce companies every single day of the last year. We put all of that together, compressed it down to blueprints. So this is not a course, it's really a blueprint that will show you all of the flows you need to have, the build of those flows in Klaviyo, what should go into each and every email, how it should look, what subject lines you need to use, examples of those emails, including a lot of examples from CBD brands as well. And that is the offer that I wanted to make available to you guys today. And because I wanted to make this extra special for the Joy Organics people, because we love Joy Organics team here so much, we're adding a very special bonus if you join Flow Master today. And that is, we'll actually build all of those 10 flows in your Klaviyo account. And I will make a note that, of course, the content that actually goes into every email, you would need to create yourself. So the copy and the design comes from you, but that is what you are an expert in, your brand and your products and your customers. However, all of the technical stuff, all of the flows with their triggers, time delays, emails, conditional splits, filters, all of that will appear in your Klaviyo account for you. And so what we charge for Flow Master is $14.99, and the Klaviyo installation of all of the flows usually comes as an additional add-on to people who are buying Flow Master, and the value is $3.99. So that makes it a total of $18.98. And today, not only today, but if you're joining in the next week as a Joy Organic Summit attendee, you're getting all of this for $7.99. And then if you're joining today, then you're getting also all of this installation in Klaviyo and saving $1,000, actually almost 1,100. So super excited to make this available to you guys. If you go to flowmaster.vip, you'll be able to learn more about it. There's a little video actually walking you through the insides of this Flow Master, so you'll be able to see what's inside. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer it. And for all of you who stayed till the end and who want to get the free bonuses, just email me at Kasey@luckandco.agency and use the subject line JO Summit Bonuses. Feel free to introduce yourself in the email, but really doesn't matter what you put in the email. When we see the subject line, I'll make sure that you get the bonuses that I have prepared for you. One of them is a PDF guide with the step-by-step instructions for how to create the most overlooked email automation. And the second bonus is this slide deck. I hope you guys enjoyed this. I'm super excited to look at what we have in the questions and answer any questions that you may have. And I fit this in 30 minutes. Amazing. I was worried about that.
Well done, Kasey. That was absolutely awesome. A lot of feedback in the chat. Guys, real quickly, if you could take 60 seconds, write your questions in. We do have here 28 minutes for Q&A, which I'm really, really thankful for. But before we do, I want to have a couple takeaways that I was able to get out of this. The first was a really subtle takeaway. Are we able to, I guess we can keep the screen up there so you guys can all kind of take a picture of that. That was a really great offer, by the way, guys. The flow specifically is what we did not have installed in Klaviyo, in what Kasey installed for us, that we made the $50,000 our first 30 days. So the value for this is crazy off the charts. But let's go through some takeaways. The first, this was a really subtle point, but this is something that I've seen in the majority of entrepreneurs that are really successful. She said that her clients, when they make more money from their email campaigns, they reinvest it back into their business. That is something I cannot stress that enough. When you do have the increases like this, that's an opportunity to get, better, more advertising going, or new SEO campaigns, or whatever it is. Kasey, would you mind turning off the screen sharing there?
Yep.
Awesome. There we go. And that is just a huge, huge lesson. It was a subtle one, but it's so important. My dad and I, we did not get paid from Joy Organics for the first, I believe, about 18 months. And we were able to do that because we had side projects going that paid us. And I understand not everybody has stuff like that. I know early on in my agency days, I just ate a lot of ramen because I wanted to reinvest as much as I could back into the business. So that was a subtle point, but a really, really important one. Next, I put get Klaviyo. This was, I would say, one of our early mistakes at Joy Organics. I was not familiar with Klaviyo when we started, so I got MailChimp, which was a fine program, but MailChimp does not have all the e-commerce flows that Klaviyo has. I was looking yesterday at the price because we do pay a lot now, but we also have 100,000 subscribers. And Klaviyo is actually very, very reasonable for small businesses. So if you've got, a few thousand or a few hundred or none, I think it was like up until 250 or 500 or so emails, it's actually free. So I cannot recommend this tool enough. Everybody who has an e-commerce store needs this. Another takeaway, there's two kinds of emails that you need to send. You've got triggered flows, which again, those are the ones that we were not doing before Kasey, or at least not doing all that well. And then the second time were newsletters, which everybody's really familiar with newsletters, but the triggered flows are where we made a tremendous amount of money. Somebody asked, how do you actually get emails in the first place? And what we were doing early, which was smart, but we didn't, it was like we kind of did half of it well, but we missed the other half, is that we were collecting emails with a pop-up. So like save 15% on your sale. You guys have probably seen the pop-ups. Opt-in Monster is my favorite plugin for WordPress sites. I would encourage you to look at that. So we were collecting these emails, but then we were just adding them to our newsletter list. So when we brought them in, we just sent them newsletters once a week or whenever. But what Kasey did was she took all those emails that we were collecting, and we were collecting like hundreds a day, and she put a flow to it. So day one, they received, hey, thanks for signing up. Day two, hey, we're so thankful that you're part of our community. Here's a video to learn a little bit more about our brand. Video three, email three, hey, here's a coupon because we're so thankful that you're a part of our community. That's what an email trigger flow is. It's these sequential emails that she was able to set up for us that allowed us to make the extra 50,000. I really like this point. One topic per email. Don't convolute your email with lots and lots of different things. Keep them really, really focused. Segment your users. This is huge. This was another thing I really didn't know anything about prior to Kasey. But within Klaviyo, we can segment users lots of different ways. And so we can say, we just want to send a special offer to these guys, or we want to send an email clarifying something. This is something we just did recently with our loyalty program. We sent it to our loyalty members. We didn't send it to 100,000 people. We sent it to the people that would care about that kind of email. Send 2 emails per week. Send on Tuesday and Thursday. 2 great bits of advice. Now we're going to dive into Q. And our Dad, do you want to share any thoughts there?
Yeah, I do have a few notes
Good.
that I think I'd like to highlight with everybody. Number one, again, as we shared early on, today's an opportunity to learn the beginning of some very important topics. Things that you can do to learn more about this topic above and beyond what Kasey has talked about is to learn, for example, from us. Go to our website and add something to your shopping cart and watch what happens to the email flow from there. Maybe watch that for a week. And then, remove that product from your shopping cart, wait a few days, and come back and just look at a product. You don't even have to add it to your shopping cart. Just look at a product and then watch the email flow that you get as a result of that. And, again, you can do this from a lot of different sites, but really look at this as an opportunity to learn. Go in if you've got a large enough list of people, obviously do what Kasey has said, learn more about this, but also learn from other sources. One of the things that I think is so important is not just having an email flow and the content of your emails, but also the branding of your emails. And you're going to learn about this later today. If you look at the branding of our emails, it's consistent with our brand. I'm on a lot of our partners' email lists, and a lot of them have emails that aren't consistent with their branding, or emails that truthfully are ugly, or emails that are way too long, that just aren't attractive. There's one partner I'm on his email list, and it seems like I'm getting an email every day, and I'm about ready to unsubscribe. And, so part of this is you've got to use some common sense. I mean, do you want to get an email every day from somebody? The odds are the answer is no. So treat people the way you'd want to be treated, but also, have flows that are consistent with what experts show works. In the case of Kasey, they've done a lot of A/B split testing. They've learned what works. So it's a great way to learn from those who've been successful, as I shared in my opening comments. The thing that the thing that I want to ask Kasey real quick. Kasey, at what point, and again, we've got people here today that are just starting their business. I mean, they're launching their business this week. At what point do you recommend that they begin to spend their time on email flows? So, the first thing obviously we want them doing is getting out there and getting people to subscribe, getting that pop up, where maybe they're offering 15% off and collecting an email address. But what have you found to be a number of email addresses or a time and point in a business cycle where somebody should take the time to learn about email flows and then begin to implement what you've talked about?
So you're very right when you mentioned that you need to have a pop-up to start with. So have a pop-up from day one, because you're going to start attracting people to your site from day one. So just having a pop-up there to make sure that they join your list. And then the question that you ask, and that I saw actually some of the people ask in the chat, how many people do I need to have on my list before I start thinking about flows? The number of people that you have on your list actually has a much bigger effect on your campaigns. It's not as relevant for flows, because flows are not sent to the people who are just hanging out on your list. The flows are sent to people who are triggering those flows by taking actions on your site. So I would say if you're paying for your traffic, if you're paying for people to get to your site, at least have the welcome flow and at least have the abandoned checkout flow to make sure that the most hot leads that you have on your website, that they're taken care of through those automated flows. So the sooner that you can get to those flows, the better. But really, the moment you start paying for your traffic, make sure that you're getting the full potential ROI you can get on that investment with email.
Beautiful. Great. All right, Jared, I don't have any other questions, so you could dive into the list.
Beautiful. Yeah, a lot of people are asking about how do you build a list in the first place? Obviously it's great when you've got thousands of people on your email, but aside of opt-ins, Kasey, what other strategies have you found that are really, really good for building that list? Obviously, you guys have to have traffic coming to your site, but once you start to have traffic coming to your site, what are some innovative, creative ways to get people on your list?
I'm going to share a few different strategies, but I would preface that with the note that organic or paid traffic, but the traffic that you get on your site, those are going to be the best subscribers that you can get. Those are going to convert the best, open your emails the best. So there are other strategies for getting subscribers. They're not going to be as engaged as who you get on your site. So make sure always the number one goal, convert people on your site into subscribers as effectively as you can. So the biggest percentage that you can get there. Other ways to build your list would be partnerships, partner with other brands, and then do giveaways together or some kind of initiatives where you create an exciting offer for people and then you join forces. Really a giveaway is the kind of the most frequent example of that. So say put together bundles of products and say, hey, we're giving away $500 worth of product, of CBD products, or maybe of wellness products if you want to join forces with other wellness but not CBD companies. And then make sure that when you collect email addresses for that giveaway, that you have a disclaimer there that by joining this giveaway, you're agreeing to receiving marketing materials from all the brands who are participating. And then what happens, the brands share those email lists. And it is it is a very effective to grow your email list fast. But in our experience, the conversion rates from those lists are 5 to 10 times lower. So there's that as well.
That's a great point, guys. Let me just give you a quick example of what a partnership could look like. My sister-in-law runs a pet health supplement company just right up the road here in Boulder, Colorado. And what we could do is we could say, hey, why don't we do some promotion together on social media? We'll give some Joy products away. We'll give some products away from her company. In order to sign up, come to our website and give us your email. And in what will happen is we'll get a lot of people from her company that'll come over, sign up for our email. One of the things you can do to incentivize this too is make that partner an affiliate. Give them a 40% commission on anybody who comes in from their list. And you can grow your list really, really fast that way. So we pay her 40% commission, they promote you, they say, go to Joy Organics and sign up for the list. The people do so. And then anytime that somebody buys from that list, they make 40%. My sister-in-law in this case would make 40%. That's a great one. Steve is asking, are there any good companies that I can hire to create content? Good with video presentations, but not a polished writer. What recommendations do you have for Steve? Oh, I think you're muted there, Kasey.
So content creators, including video?
No, he's good at video, but he needs help on the content creation side.
If you need content, email, we're great. But I would say that's a wide question in terms of platforms or places that make it the easiest to find great creators. I would say Upwork, maybe Fiverr Pro, especially if you are if you're not ready to partner with somebody full-time and you're really looking for an independent person who will help you on a project base. On a project basis, those are two good places to find great creators.
That's a good one. I've used both extensively. My personal favorite is Upwork. I've probably spent $750,000 over the last 10 years on Upwork. And I often tell people I would not have a business without them. It is the #1 resource for freelancers that I have found. You can find a specialist. You can find CBD specialized writers on Upwork. So that would be my recommendation. Keith had a good question here. I like this. Do you find that the sign up form works best as a static form on the page or like as a pop-up or a slide-in form? Kasey, for email forms, what have you found to work best? Because you kind of see them maybe at the bottom of a blog post or something, but sometimes, as you've seen with our site, we have the pop-ups.
The answer to a lot of questions like this is have both. Have everything. Have a pop-up and have an embed form at the bottom of your site. If the structure of your website is such that there's a sidebar, have something in your sidebar as well. I know, for example, Joy Organics has a quiz in the sidebar, which is a fantastic and fun way to engage people and then also collect email addresses. So, but I would say definitely have a pop-up. In addition to everything else that you have.
Good. Yeah, there's no downside that I can think of either to having both. KB asks and says, thank you, Kasey. Can this be implemented in the Aweber email platform?
Ooh, I do have experience with Aweber. Not a fan. And to be honest, I don't know what kind of integration they have with Shopify, or actually the question should be what shopping platform you use, whether it's Shopify or something else, and then see how well it integrates with Aweber. And I think fundamentally, when you're trying to find a platform or evaluate a platform, evaluate the level of integration that they have with your shopping platform. What makes part of one of the reasons why Klaviyo is great for e-commerce, because they have a fantastic integration with Shopify, which lets us send flows for all kinds of actions, all kinds of metrics that are happening in Shopify. My gut feeling is that Aweber probably is not good.
Yeah, and that's my experience too with other. I've used Aweber in the past, and with most email platforms, they're just a little bit general. They're generic. They try to work for everybody. Whereas Klaviyo is like, listen, we're just going to serve the e-commerce market, and that's why I've just really fallen in love with Klaviyo. A number of people asking about the cost for Klaviyo. I would encourage you guys just to check out the site. It really does range and vary based on how many people you have on your list. But here's a really good question from Joyce on disclaimers, kind of compliance. What do you have to have in your emails, Kasey, kind of a unsubscribe or things of that nature to be compliant?
The most important thing is to have the unsubscribe button in your emails and to make sure that you're not obscuring it. A lot of people think about unsubscribes as something bad or negative. I encourage everybody to view unsubscribes as a positive thing. If somebody doesn't want to be on your list, let them go, because you're paying for everybody to be on your list, because you're paying for Klaviyo or your email platform. So if they don't want to hear from you, they are not going to purchase, let them unsubscribe and make it easy for them to do so. Also, not doing that is against the law. That is the most important part. As a CBD company, I would say you're probably on the safer side if you're also including some of the disclaimers that are a must-have in this space in your emails as well. But I think, Jared, maybe you guys have a good perspective on that as well. I would say as long as you're not making any of the claims you're not supposed to make on your site, you're also not making them in your email, you're good.
Yeah, we also do, I believe, have the FDA disclaimer at the bottom of all of our emails, just for, our own safety. So I think that's good.
Yeah.
A lot of people asking, does Klaviyo work with WooCommerce or Shopify or BigCommerce? Is it safe to say that Klaviyo works with all e-commerce platforms?
Yeah, definitely.
Okay. That's good. Perp Natural is asking, what does engaged 60 days or 180 days mean? Does that mean that once somebody has not engaged for 60 days, you're going to send them a certain email?
So let's take one of them. So an engaged 60 days segment means that anybody who opened, clicked, or has been active on site at least once in the last 60 days will be in that segment. So this is a group of people who engaged, and by engaged we mean opened, clicked, or has been active on site. If they engaged at least once in those 60 days, they will be in this segment. And if you're sending to them, you're sending to this group of people.
Yeah, that's perfect. Here's a good question from Dawn. Do all campaigns come from the same email address? And can you recommend an email box name for marketing? Like what name do you recommend? I know in the early days, we actually had all of our emails come from Joy Smith. It was like Joy at Joy Organics. I think our emails right now just say Joy Organics as the from name, but what have you found to work well for that name box?
I would say that the name box doesn't really affect any of your metrics that much. It's more of a branding question. So if you want your brand to have a very personal touch, if you're a smaller brand, maybe you can follow Joy Organics example, and it could be your name or founder name in the name of the inbox there. Otherwise, it could be support at some of our partners use orders at. Well, that's a reply to. So there are two different things, and you can differentiate between them: a send name and a reply to address. Otherwise, some partners do reply, please reply or reply to, because in the old days, everybody had a do not reply email address, and now it's not cool anymore. So you definitely want to invite people to reply to your emails. It's also very good for your deliverability. So when people reply to your marketing emails, that sends a good signal to email clients, kind of saying, hey, this sender is an actual person. They're not just blasting to their people. People actually reply to them. So that's a good thing to have. Yeah,
that's perfect. And I would encourage you guys, if you're a smaller company, go the personalized route in the beginning. I thought that was a good move that we made, making the emails from Joy. It's Joy at Joy Organics. Who's not going to open that, right? And I felt like that really helped build connection, especially in the early days when a lot of the content's going to be coming from you. If you use videos in your emails, which I would encourage you to do, it just builds that personal connection. Here's a good question. Do we still use Klaviyo for flows or use automated Shopify emailers?
So what you have in a short question to that is everything that you can send through Klaviyo, you're better off sending through Klaviyo. There's a lot more control that you'll have in Klaviyo within the content of those emails. You can customize Klaviyo emails as much as you want in any way that you want. And all of that, of course, will be beneficial for you for conversions. there are a few Shopify automations that you cannot turn off. And all of those, I believe, are post-purchase things. So a purchase confirmation and a shipping confirmation, those two cannot be turned off. So, they can be turned off. Let them keep sending them through Shopify. In our experience, it actually doesn't hurt to also send a shipping confirmation from Klaviyo, but because this email, the Klaviyo email, you can customize, make sure that you add next steps, products that go well with that first product they bought, or any kind of any ways to further engage with people and upsell to them right away. It's counterintuitive, but actually people who just shopped, if you give them a good enough incentive, they're likely to shop again right away. And that's what we see in our post-purchase flows. And that's what Klaviyo lets you do.
Yeah, that's good. And one of the things that's good, just important to remember, guys, is, as we've kind of bolted on different tools and things over the years, some of those tools do send their own emails, and it's hard to manage the emails across lots of different platforms. And what you wind up with is emails that aren't branded properly. So as Kasey was saying, I would really try to encourage you to send as much as you can through Klaviyo, just so everything has a consistent look and feel.
And I think another thing that a lot of people are thinking about is abandoned cart email, because Shopify does send their own abandoned cart email. As soon as you have that in Klaviyo, turn that off in Shopify.
Yep. Okay, that's perfect. Here's a good question, because there may be a little confusion here from Kimberly. Sending on Tuesday, Thursday, mostly for campaign emails, which is the newsletter emails. And she said, obviously flows send on all different days based on the various triggers. Is that okay?
Yeah, in our experience, that is okay. Some of the emails, kind of like the most immediate emails, should be sent whenever they're triggered. And then as you go further down the flow, with maybe some of the follow-up emails, for example, welcome email 3, welcome email 4. For those ones, you're actually able to specify in Klaviyo. Klaviyo lets you do that. Delay this email, for example, until Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday at 2 p.m. Pacific time or 2 p.m. recipient time. And if you were testing all the different days and you did see that Saturday and Sunday are terrible for engagement for you, then customize your flows or some of your flows email so that they don't send on those 2 days. Okay. So that's kind of, a more advanced level to flows. That's not something that I would encourage to spend time on as you just setting things up. But once you have flows up there and running and you want to take it to the next level, then do those type of things.
Yeah, that's a great point. Joyce asks, what do you do about bogus email addresses that she seems to be getting through her website? Is there any easy way to filter those out?
Well, you can have a double opt-in process. So there's single opt-in and there's double opt-in. And what this means is that whenever somebody signs up for your email address through whichever form, let's say a pop-up, if it's a single opt-in, then they are immediately added to your email list. And if you have flows, they start receiving the welcome flow. With the double opt-in, the first thing that happens is that they receive a confirmation email and they must confirm that they want to subscribe to your list in that confirmation email. And unless they do, they're not added to your list and they don't start receiving emails. So if you're having, I usually encourage people to have a single opt-in. It's more effective for growing your list. But if you are experiencing a problem where you have a lot of people, bogus emails joining your list, then do enable double opt-in. That is the most effective way to get those out.
Yeah, I would also encourage everybody to have a single opt-in. You'll just be able to grow your list better and faster. But one of the things we do is we weed out people who don't regularly open our emails to improve our deliverability. Can you speak to that real quick, Kasey?
Yeah, that's actually one of the flows that we build, and that was on that list that we had that I had in my slides. It's the last email. It's called the sunset flow or sunset unengaged subscribers flow, which is too fancy of a name. So what happens is it also goes back to segmentation. You build a segment of people who didn't open anything from you in the past 90 days. And 90 days is a good number, but it could be anything. And then you create a flow of emails written in a very personal way saying, hey, you subscribed way back in the day. Are you still interested? We want to make sure that we're delivering great information for you. And then you send them a couple emails like that. And it's actually great to not make those fancy emails and to keep them plain text emails, because people are going to see them a lot more. And then if people still don't engage with those, unsubscribe them from your list. Yeah. So in other words, you're giving people a heads up saying, hey, if you're not going to engage with the emails, we're going to unsubscribe you, but do it in a nice way, because people do get offended sometimes when you want to unsubscribe them, even if they don't open any emails from you. And then if they don't just unsubscribe, your list is going to be better off, your deliverability and all of the engagement metrics are going to be much better.
Yeah, that's perfect.